Okay, hello guys, welcome to my this short tutorial on shared preferences. Okay, so I told you guys that I was going to do a little recording on shared preferences, but I haven't had the time. I just got some free time now, so um, if you don't really know how to do shared preferences, this is your way to do it. It's not actually that hard. Okay, so I have this view. This XML, I used it for one of my old apps when I was learning shared preferences. I just tried to implement it in a way, but I just copied the XML and came over to this new app and just used it. I was trying to like save time. Okay, so what the app basically does is it will take my email address and my password, save it to shared preference. Okay, so when I come to here, this login here, I'll just put in the email address and it will validate me and know if my email and address is correct and my email and my password is correct from my shared preferences. Okay, so um first of all, you just notice that I just have two edit text and one button, nothing much there. Okay, so let me actually zoom in so that you guys can see that it's looking as if it's not very seeable. Okay, so let me go to my main activity. So I had to clear some few things so that I'll start from scratch. Okay, so um you just notice some things. This is just my binding, my view binding. I use the view binding. Okay, so view binding is just like an alternative for find view by ID. Okay, you do find view by ID, you get the handle to the ID, and then you do things you want with the ID. That's actually a way to go about it. There's view binding, there's also data binding. You guys should know about that. And I'm just using view binding. All you just see here is just me uh, doing the inflate and calling setting the content. Okay, so it's not something that's big. Okay, so another thing here you see here is this function. This function is the function that is called when this button is clicked. Okay, so basically what it just has now is an intent to the login activity and then starting the activity. That's just all it does. Okay, I have this function here is empty and I have a companion object here that's empty. Okay, I'll tell you guys, I'll show you guys what I'm going to do with it. Okay, so the login is still the same thing, just the binding. Okay, getting uh, inflating the view and getting uh, the binding. Okay, and then calling binding dot root to get the view and set it, and using the set content view to set my activity. Okay, so that's nothing much. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is here in the open login I'm going to call the function save. Okay, save to shared pref. Okay, so this is calling this function here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create shared pref. Okay, and open it, then save my details, which is my email and password. And I'm going to actually go through and show you guys some things. Like when I did my own, I had other field and text, I had other fields here that you can put details. Okay, so I did something like validate. I checked the email for correctness, whether it has an art and all those things. You know how those reject stuff works. I did it with password and all that. If you want to go harder or make it a little bit complex, you can actually go with that. It's nothing um just for you. You enjoy pushing yourself. Okay, so someone else self asked me to know if he was going to use Firebase or login. Okay, so Firebase is not really that hard. I said, okay, if you want to use Firebase. I'll mark you based on Firebase, because he was trying to try something new. Okay, so and that is encouraged. Okay, so let me go and talk and give an overview. Okay, so there's something called persistence in software development. It's not something that's new. Okay, so in real life, if you're going to somewhere like the market or the supermarket, okay, so want to go and buy something, normally you have to write something like a list. Okay, so you know what you're going to buy, and then you stick to your list and do whatever is in your list. Okay, so you wrote that list basically because maybe your memory is not trusted. Things in your memory can be forgotten. Okay, you can forget things in your memory. Okay, so you wrote it down so that because you don't trust your memory. Okay, so that's the same thing with applications, or should I say computers. Okay, when you want things to be stored, not just temporarily. Okay, more like stored or written down. That's what persistence means. It's like asking your computer to write down things. Okay, so when you want to do that, you have to employ various means, and shared preferences is one of them. Okay, there is SQLite database, there is writing to local storage, external, internal, and doing other remote stuff with networks. Okay, so shared preferences is just a way to persist data in key value pairs. Okay, so it saves data, mostly primitive data. There's a way to go around it and work with classes and all that, but it involves libraries and all that, but that's not in our concept now. Okay, so shared preferences, let me just go to the point. Okay, so I'm going to save to shared preferences. Let me just show you guys. The code here will be really small. It's not something I'm going to go very long on. So let me show you val. I'll call it SharedPref. Let me get. Okay, so to get shared preferences, okay, or if you're going to create, okay, you have to call the get shared preferences. Okay, so I'm actually going to is actually going to ask you to pass in a name and the mode. Okay, I could add the name as a normal string, but I don't want to add it as a normal string. Okay, I want to add it as a constant, so I'll have to add the constants to my companion object. This is the same thing as using static void in public static final in Java. Okay, so you guys should know that. Okay, it's the equivalent to Kotlin. Okay, let me just add that to my companion object. Okay, so I just added this constant here, constant value, and the name is user shared pref. Okay, this is the value here. Using this type of string is actually one of the recommended ways, so that you know your preferences are unique. You add your package name, and then you add the name of the preference file that you want. Okay, so that's what I followed here. So I'll do this, and then I'll add my mode. Okay, so I'll use mode private. Mode private means that only your application can actually see your shared pref. Okay, you don't want other applications seeing your shared pref. Other modes that were security risky have been deprecated. I don't know if public and others, if public is actually deprecated. I know that some others were actually deprecated. I've forgotten their name, but if mostly what you actually need is mode private, like maybe 90% of the time or something. So let me do this. I'm actually going to go the long way because I want to write it like maybe a longer. I'm trying to write longer lines of code so that people can follow me. Okay, so I'm going to do my own editor. It's equal to short. Okay, so you can see what I did here. I just got SharedPref.edit and saved it to this value editor. Okay, so it's not a big something I just did there. It's just a way to get the editor. To write to SharedPref, you need the editor to write to the SharedPref. Okay, so I just got the reference to the editor. Okay, so I can now use this editor to write things. Okay, so I can say editor.put. Okay, you can see here I can see put int, put string, put boolean, put float, put long. You can see, as I told you, SharedPrefrences saves primitive types in key value pairs. So let me put that editor.put string. Okay, now I'll put my key. Okay, I can put the key in a string. I'll just type it the key here, but I don't want to type it like that. I still want to use a companion object, so I'll add the companion object and then the value. Okay, so let me do that now. Okay, so I added two companion objects. Okay, so I just did it at once, one for email and one for password. Okay, so instead of writing it there, I just write here email, and then I just put the value of the email. Okay, so I have my binding here, so I'll use my binding to get my email. So I'll call binding, okay, dot let me get the what did they call it, the ID. Okay, so when you, let me show you guys something. If you don't, for the people that don't know about view binding, okay, so this is my, let me control B. Okay, so I go to, why did it not work? Okay, so this is my edit text. Okay, and my edit text, I gave it an ID of edit underscore address. Okay, so it's an edit text for address. Okay, my email address. Okay, everything, when you call view binding, everything that has an ID, it will create a class for the layout, and then have fields for everything that have an ID. So if you don't want an ID, something to have an ID, or you don't want, you're not going to operate on it and using view binding, you don't give that in an ID. Okay, so here I'll just call binding dot, I know some of you have already done this before, so I see it in your codes, edit address. Okay, so to get this the string from this address, you just call text. Okay, and then to make it a string, you call, you call toString. Okay, so that's just it. I get the binding, I get the edit address, I get the text. Okay, and then I convert it to a string. It's nothing much. Okay, so I'll copy this and paste it, and I'll call password, then I'll call. Okay, so this is almost the same thing. I just did it for my email and password, and I just saved both of them at once. Okay, so now let me just do editor. Okay, so I call to finish everything that I've done, I call editor dot apply. Okay, so editor dot apply just finalizes everything that I've done and saves my shared preferences. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so if my shared preferences is now saved and I navigate to the new activity, okay, that means I'm here and I want to check this. Somebody who puts the email address and the password, and then click login. Okay, so this is where I operate on. Okay, this is an on click function I added. Okay, so somewhere here, let me add the button. Is that button? So okay, open dashboard. Okay, so open dashboard is called when somebody clicks the button. So I still have the binding here and all that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get the shared preferences. Okay, so it's actually going to be the same thing I did. Okay, so I'll just call val SharedPref. Okay, get SharedPref. Okay, and I'll call, okay, this is why it's good to save it as a constant. If it was not a constant, I'll have to start retyping it again. You can actually save it in another file if you want. It's not a bad idea. Okay, so mode private. Okay, so the same thing with what I did before, but here I'll just use the SharedPref to get the values. So I'll call val email. Okay. Okay, so get string. Okay, so this get string takes two parameters. Okay, takes the key and the default value you want. So it goes with the key to the SharedPref and checks if that SharedPref has that value. If you have not created the SharedPref or it doesn't find that key there, okay, it will use the default value. Okay, so let me just put the key here, main activity dot email, and then default value. I want to add a default value of n. Okay, so that's mostly it. Okay, so let me copy this and let me paste this, and then I'll call this password. Okay, so password. Okay, okay, so activity email. So that's the same thing. I just got the values. Okay, let me warn you guys about something. This shared preferences test is not. You cannot do this in real working applications. You can't. You shouldn't do this. It's a very bad idea. Someone can actually see your shared preferences. Okay, I'll show you guys how to check your shared preference file. Okay, later. Okay, so I'll show you guys that. But let me just show you guys how to validate for now. So I'll add an if statement here to validate. Okay, so I'll say if email, okay, dot equals binding dot. Okay, so I'm trying to get what the person has typed in the address. Okay, dot text dot to string. Okay, okay, I'm trying to do the and. Okay, and so you should see this. Okay, not email, password dot equals. So if password dot equals binding, okay, dot edit password dot text, sorry, that's to string. So this get the text and then convert it to string. If this is equal, then let us do something. This is just basic validation, but for you it may be something else. I'm not going to tell you guys what you're going to do actually, because that will be too much expo. What am I even typing? Okay, sorry. Okay, so what is this? Okay, I just bookmarked something and I don't know how to remove the bookmark. Okay, so let me just do a basic toast. Okay, toast dot make text, and I'll pass this as the context, and then for the text I'll just say it's worked, and then for my this now just go toast, sorry, I didn't put the comma. Okay, so that's it. I just made my toast, and then I'll call show. I always forget to call show for a reason. So if this works, everything is okay. It should work. Okay, so that's it for this. I'll just test it now to just show you guys that it actually works. So let me set up my my visor, Okay, my app is up and running, and I now want to test. Okay, so for the test I will just put random words. Okay, so normally this is an email address. Okay, you just put something and then it will check if you actually put an email, if there is an at and there's something like gmail.com. But for this I'll just write ASD, the first three letters in the home key, ASD as the password. Okay, so I'll just do register, and here I'll just do ASD. I just want to save time. Okay, so login, and then it says it worked. Okay, so you can see this toast here that it actually worked. Okay, so let me show you guys how you can see your share preference file in case maybe you're debugging or something and you notice something wrong, and maybe just for any reason. Okay, so just go to this device file explorer, usually somewhere here, and okay, so I've already opened this before, so let me just refresh that. Okay, so once you open here, you just see something like this. Okay, you open data. Okay, open the second data. Okay, my visor is minimizing. Okay, so I'm just going back to my screen here. If you open data and open the second nested data file, you see all the project name, package name for all your apps. Okay, so you can just scroll down and find the one you're looking for. This is the one I used. Okay, so you can click here and then click on the shared preferences. You see this shared preference XML file here. Okay, so remember I opened the project name for my app. This is the package name for my app I use for my app, and then I open the shared preferences folder. Okay, so I open the shared preference file. You can see what I've saved here. I saved the string password with this keyboard password, and this is the value. Email with this keyboard email, and this is the value. Okay, so you guys can see what I did here. You can actually just edit this. This is why I said share preferences is not a good option for you. If I can see it, maybe someone else can see it. Okay, so to get a grip of what share preferences should be used for, you can just go into other people's apps and maybe see what they are saving as shared preferences. Okay, so it's also a good idea. Just walk in anywhere and just see what they are saving as shared preferences. Okay, so I'll not be doing that now, so you guys can try that on your own. Okay, so that's the end of the video. Okay, so I hope you do yours better. Okay, so thanks.